So what we're doing, the 75 Hard Challenge by Andy Frisella. I've done it. I've completed it once. The reason I like the 75 Hard Challenge because it's so hard. Going to be joining me in the gym, which is a new experience for him.
I mean, so I'm going to be out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. So what can you expect? A lot of on location. We're speaking into the phone, a video, a thought. And then if there's questions that come up, we'll address that.
God.
75 hard.
Yeah.
75 days of just getting after it, focusing on self, laying the foundation for a better life. Welcome to GVSV.
Join us on this adventure. My name is Alex.
My name's Carl.
1, 2, 3, let's go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my kitchen. I want to talk about diet and meal planning. For right now, especially with the 75 Hard Challenge, Carl has me up to 156 carbs, as far as grams, 64 grams of fat, and 250 grams of protein. That's a lot of protein. And I mean, that pretty much levels out at about 2,200 calories. Show you what food it is that I eat on a daily basis while we go through the 75 Hard Challenge. Breakfast, obviously being the first meal of the day. Right now with the 75 Hard Challenge, I'm waking up at 3 o'clock, using the restroom. I'm eating this. So this is my breakfast. And then I'm in the car and I'm out the door by 3:40, 3:45. So I can meet Carl at the gym by about 4:15. Very important, vital thing for being consistent with the amount of food that you're taking in is measuring implements, whether that's cups, spoons, or having a scale. It's good to know what you're taking in so that way you can stay on track, whether it's to gain muscle or lose weight, whatever it is that you're trying to do. But this is my breakfast. So 1 cup bran flakes, sliced banana, a 1/4 cup of granola, and then I'll take protein powder and I'll take 1 scoop in here and mix it up with 1 cup of almond milk and then shake it up, pour it on top. I also will add 3 almonds on top. Actually, I don't even know if I'm doing that right now. I'll have to look at my my allowance. But yeah, that's my breakfast. Lunch/dinner is going to be flipped depending on the day of the week for me. So Monday through Friday, while I'm at work, I'm going to be eating my rice and chicken, but as my lunch while I'm at work, because it's something that I can pack up and I can take with me and I can just it's easy to heat up and eat. But as soon as I get home from work, I'm going to make myself 4 egg omelet. And on the weekends, when I get home from the gym, I'm making 2 egg omelets at a time. So 2 eggs, 1/4 teaspoon of spice, and then I am adding exactly 10 grams of cheese. So that's one of the reasons that I definitely need to have a food scale. This one only tops out at 2 kilograms, which has been great for me for the last 2 years. But I had to upgrade to a bigger weight scale, food scale, which now measures up to 5 kilograms. You don't need anything expensive, just something that measures, weighs. I'll take a half teaspoon and I'll measure out my olive oil, because if I don't, I had a tendency to just kind of put way too much into my food. And having scales, having spoons, having cups, measuring cups, really helps you to just kind of be consistent with the amount of food and what food it is you're eating. And so that way you can meet your macronutrient goals. And then, because I can't get all of my macronutrients from the foods that I'm taking in, I am supplementing it with protein powder. So I will take a scoop of protein and I'll mix it in with a bottle of water, and I'll have one of these scoops after pretty much every meal. Okay, and that adds another 25 grams to my daily protein, which helps me hit my now goal of 250 grams of protein. Welcome back. This is going to be where we discuss my chicken and rice meal. So, with respect to meal planning throughout the week, this is very vital. I already, so today being Sunday, I already cooked yesterday for the week, but then I realized that I ended up with enough chicken to measure out 425 grams in each one of these containers. And as great as that might be, that only gets me through Thursday. And then that means that on Thursday, when I'm also going to be editing Friday's video, or hopefully finishing up editing Friday's video, I'm going to be struggling to also figure out how I'm going to feed myself the next day at work. I was going to take 3 more packs of chicken, and I was going to cook them for today and next Friday, and possibly leading into, I guess, next Saturday, if I end up with so much chicken out of this meal, or out of this portion. I told Carl that I typically prepare about 2 packs of chicken per week. And that was probably when I was only eating about maybe 150 grams per day. Now that I've increased to 425, I realized that what I used to do in the past was I would cook on broiling pans. So I would chop them up and I'd put them on a broiling pan. Well, I'd season them with some minced garlic, and then I'd put them on a broiling pan. And unfortunately, with this much chicken, effectively, 3 times as much chicken as I used to cook, and I was using 2 broiling pans then, means that I would need 6 broiling pans to cook the same amount of to cook the amount of chicken, 3 times as much chicken. So to avoid doing that, Carl suggested that I get myself a slow cooker. Having zero experience with this, I asked Carl for his advice. He said all you really need is some sort of like chicken broth and chicken, and like you throw it in there and wait 8 hours, you're done. That sounds great and simple and easy, but unfortunately, also plain. And I went online and I looked for another recipe, or I looked for any recipe. Actually, I knew that I wanted to keep using minced garlic. So what I found was a recipe which calls for uh, kosher salt, oregano, fresh parsley, and about 12 cloves of garlic. Throw in the ingredients and then stir, turn it on for 8 hours on low or 4 hours on high. And after that, I can pretty much package it up like I did the ones that are already in the fridge. And I don't cook the rice all at once. I cook the rice portion by portion the day before. So that way I take it out of those bigger containers, put it into two smaller ones, and then that way I have 2 meals waiting for me at work. So I can, as soon as I get to work from the gym, I effectively eat one of these as like a post workout meal. And then later in the day when I'm having lunch, I can have the second one. And then by the time I get home, that's when I'll have whatever's left pretty much on my schedule for meals. So join me as I prepare more food for the week so I don't starve on Friday. So now that we've gone through all of my meals, we pretty much have one last thing to touch base on. I have just enough within my allowance to add a snack. And for me, it's a plain cup of Greek yogurt. It's got maybe 14 grams of protein, so that helps me to get that much closer to my goal of 250 grams per day. But at the same time, it's also got zero fat and only 6 grams of carbs. So the protein to carb ratio obviously works in my favor, but at the same time, it's a little bit of something that I can eat at any time of the day when I feel like I need something to just kind of hold me over until I can actually get a full meal. Because for me, the problem that I was running into was I would get home from work, and while I'm making dinner, I would also be snacking. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have reached into this cabinet and I will just grab a container of granola. I will just reach over and grab the quarter cup measuring cup, and just start just plowing away and just taking quarter cup after quarter cup and just like shoveling it down. I I understand that uh, that's not healthy, and anyone out there who has watched any of our Heartstopper React content, who's seen like the season 3 episodes, understands that yeah, like when I was young, I had a very unhealthy relationship with food, and I'm better, but not great. And I will say that having Carl as my personal trainer and being held accountable, not by him, but specifically by keeping track of my meals, is probably the main reason that I've been able to be better with food. Not everybody has the desire to effectively log every single thing that you eat, but I will say that there are apps out there like MyFitnessPal. And before MyFitnessPal, I was using an app called uh, Fat Secret. It's doable. You can find tools out there that are going to allow you to keep track of the foods that you eat and how much of whatever, whether it's calories that you're counting or whether it's macronutrients as far as like your fats, your carbs, your proteins, whatever is your goal with respect to your diet, there are tools available to you to use to help you get on track so you can be consistent and persistent. And I will say that having having my fitness pal for these last 3 years and having the reason that I switched from Fat Secret over to my fitness pal was simply because it allowed Carl insight into my diet. So now he can see what I'm eating day to day. He can see how much or how close I'm getting to my protein goal, which is probably my biggest struggle at first, was trying to figure out where I was going to get all of that protein. And I can't get it all through food. Like I have to supplement it with whey powder or whey protein powder because it's that's a lot of meat, and it just worked out that a couple scoops here and there, and that pushes me up to my goal of now 250 grams. So my advice to everyone out there is uh, definitely, you know, if you have a goal, whether it's building muscle or losing weight, one of the best ways that you can help yourself is by tracking what it is that you're eating. Because once you know what is going in, then you can decide what is it that you need to cut or what is it that you need to increase. And then once you have that balance right, your your body is going to have the fuel that it needs, not just to work out, but also to build muscle and to give you the body that it is that you're looking for. So thanks for hearing me out, and thanks for following along on this meal prep Sunday. Um, we'll see you guys next week with another installment of GVSV Health, where Carl is probably going to uh, take lead on that, and we'll see what he has for us. So join us this adventure. 1, 2, 3, let's go.